It looks like there's another shooting in the USA as Donald Trump's policy apparently is shoot first, ask questions later. This is the headline then. Person shot in incident involving Border Patrol in Arizona, sheriff says. The victim's condition is not yet known. That's coming from ABC. New York Times says one person is wounded in shooting involving Border Patrol in Arizona. The person who has not been identified was in custody at the time of the shooting, which is under investigation, which obviously is a bit strange. You're shooting someone in custody, right? So like, does that mean you had them detained and you decided to shoot someone? I don't know. I mean, this is just coming out like an hour ago. That's why there's not a lot of details on it. Also says critical condition. I'll just read it. It says, crews found, quote, one patient in custody and in critical condition and provided medical care before the patient was airlifted to a regional trauma center, the fire district said. No further details about the episode or the patient were provided. Law enforcement agencies are investigating, the statement said. And, you know, while all this is going on, we just had the killing of Alex Preddy. We also had the killing of Renee Good. And there's multiple shootings, actually, more than I didn't even realize, which we'll go over also. Someone then asked the question, are we seriously considering sending football teams from around the world with all the diversity of skin colors and cultures into a country that has an army of racists actively targeting anyone who is not white or has an accent? And this has been a question that a lot of people have been posing lately, like, why do business with Trump in the USA? Why bother come? Why are we having the World Cup there? This is actually a reporter from the PBS who was at the White House recently, and they noticed a peculiar pictures that Trump has set up. I'll read it. Also, something I noticed in vestibule area that connects the West Wing to the residence that I hadn't seen before. A framed photo of Presidents Trump and Putin at their summit in Alaska. Lower photo is President Trump with one of his grandchildren. And the reason why I'm pointing this out, and this just came out like an hour ago also, is for Trump family, it's basically like a mafia. That's how he runs this whole thing. So for him, it's like, okay, I got two important pictures as I, retire to bed or whatever, one with my grandkid and the other one with, I guess, my granddaddy or my dad, however you want to say it. Like literally, this is in the White House right now. He's got a picture with Putin and he's got a picture with his grandkids. That's how close he considers himself with Putin. And, it's not like a shock here. It just more demonstrates who these people are. On top of that, this is someone running for Congress. Terry Virts says, just got a text from Australian friend who is planning to come to the U.S. for the World Cup, right? Tourism, business. Quote, I won't be coming to America until Trump is gone. This is a disaster for tourist industry. Trump's descent into fascism is going to crush working Americans' pocketbooks. And there's a lot of people out there that are open for business, that do want to do business from people from all around the world, right? But the Trump people, again, if their policy is shoot first, ask questions later, it shuts down tourism in the USA. Like who would want to go in that environment? I mean, it's obvious it's not safe. And then you have this, and this is what I mentioned before. There's even more shootings than I even realized. Trump aides declared 16 DHS shootings since July, justified before the probes completed. So basically, they're already saying, well, we had to shoot all of these people, right? Before we even finished the investigation. Well, we already know the answer. We had to shoot all of these people. That's their thing. Trump then, I think he's in Iowa. He's talking about how awesome his numbers are. Listen to this.
Well, they're not getting that anymore.
You were talking about the polls earlier. Clearly, your base is with you, strong and supportive. They're very
stronger than. By the way, our base. Our base is with us. I think they're the best poll numbers. The real poll numbers, I think we have the best poll numbers we've ever had. Think of it, if I were to run again, would anybody be happy? So we have the best poll numbers we've ever had. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
So Trump's talking about running again. He's saying he's got the most awesomest poll numbers, and he's visiting his, I'm sure, carefully selected group of people in Iowa that all tell him how awesome he is and how great he is. These are the poll numbers, though. These coming from Reuters about an hour or so ago. American approval of President Trump's immigration policy fell to its lowest level since his return in a new Reuters Ipsos poll. Majority of Americans saying his crackdown on immigration has gone too far. And this is the numbers. Trump's immigration approval drops to record low, disapprove at 53, approve at 39. So there are still people who like what Trump is doing. And I guess, remember, the policy is shoot first, ask questions later. Some people are on board with that, 39% at the moment, 53% disapprove. So there's that. And then the question is, why would you want to visit a country if there is that many people who approve of things that Trump is doing? This is more. No civil rights violation probe into latest Minnesota shootings. So this would be the Alex Preddy shooting and killing. Sources tell MS Now, as DHS takes over federal investigation, current and former law enforcement agents warn the Trump DOJ isn't committed to facts or fairness. Basically, what this is going to boil down to is Kristi Noem and her people will investigate her own people, and then I'm sure they'll come back and say, well, you know what? The shootings were justified. As I showed you before, I guess there's been 16 since July, and they're already saying it's all fine. But this is a major problem, of course. You want an independent investigation of these things. It's not a great look. If Noem's like, okay, I asked my people, did you do the right thing? They said yes. Okay, well, that's great. That's the policy they're going to go with. They're actually threatening to, they meaning the Democrats are threatening to try to impeach Noem here. It says from Hakeem Jeffries, Donald Trump must fire Kristi Noem immediately, or Democrats will initiate impeachment proceedings against her in House. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. I'll be curious how this goes, because basically this will force Republicans to go on the record on what they think of, Noem. And I think this particular issue, the killing of Alex Preddy, I think this particular issue cuts across political lines. I've seen several Republicans out there say, usually I'm with Republicans, I like Trump, these kind of things, but just going about shooting people in this way, I mean, any sane person can see it's wrong. And I have, we talk about different things, the human aspect of it. Just don't be shooting people like this. There's no necessary reason. Like, the guy is already on the ground, he's disarmed, he's not a danger, and we're just killing people and we're shooting it multiple times. I mean, it's awful, of course. And then, what you got also is, I guess we want to spread this culture to Italy now. Now we're pissing off Italy. U.S. to send ICE agents to Winter Olympics, prompting Italian anger. This just came out just a couple hours ago. Like, what is this? They asked someone, this is the Milan mayor. This is a quote from the Milan. This is a militia that kills. Of course they're not welcome in Milan. Okay. This is also coming from the foreign minister, Antonio Tajani, says, it's not like the, quote, SS are coming. I mean, you can, like if your whole discussion is where the local person is saying, well, you're not welcome here, there's a militia that kills, and then your other politician locally is trying to calm things down as well. It's not the SS that's coming. I mean, that's how bad it is right now in USA. I'm sure you guys know this stuff, but I'm just telling you the news of the day, as this is another one. New, the families of two Trinidadian men believed to have been killed in the U.S. boat strike in October are suing the U.S. government, saying the two men had no ties to drug cartels and were on the way home from working in Venezuela when they were killed. Remember, Trump and his people are destroying boats. So basically one family's just like, we have nothing to do with the drug cartels, like you say, and they're suing. Quote, if the U.S. government believed Rishi had done anything wrong, it should have arrested, charged, and detained him, the sister of one of the men said, not murdered him, right? And which is completely sensible. Like if they are indeed what they say they are, you arrest them. You would actually present evidence to us. Instead, the U.S. policy right now is shoot first, ask questions later, disappear any witnesses, destroy any evidence. That's what the U.S. policy is at the moment. And then you get the stuff involving kids. This is all coming out just today. 5-year-old deported to Honduras despite being a U.S. citizen is the latest child victim of a Trump crackdown. Mother, whose visa application was pending, says she will send the girl back to the U.S. soon, accompanied by another relative. Yeah, and there's another kid involved also. This is one. It's another 5-year-old kid. If you remember this one, it says a federal judge has blocked the possible deportation of a 5-year-old and his father for now. This is what we're fighting over in USA. Of like, we're doing shooting investigations. Are we investigating properly? That's like the headline news. Now we're talking about deporting children. Some have already been deported, U.S. citizen, I guess. And in this situation, should we deport this child or not? Then you look at consumer confidence. I mentioned this in the last video. Just want to show you it again. It says U.S. consumer confidence plunged in January to the lowest level since May 2014. You read that correctly. Confidence is now worse than during the COVID pandemic. Wow. That's how bad it is. It's worse than the COVID pandemic. So it hasn't been this bad since 2014. All political affiliations, ages, and income levels saw a decline in January. So basically means everyone's feeling less confident. Why? Americans are worried about the hiring recession, right? No jobs. They want to see hiring pick up again. They fear their incomes will suffer in this environment. And you remember Trump always tells you how rich you are, everything's so great, and he's building you a ballroom and he's hanging up pictures of himself with his grandkids and his daddy Putin. Like literally that's in the White House right now. This is another one. Dr. Michelle Kilhan says, I heard from a professional colleague today who is also a practicing clinical psychologist that ICE came to their office and demanded patient records from their admin person who refused them. She told them they needed a court order, meaning a judicial order, and not just their order, and they were not happy and said they were coming back today. This is how dirty this administration is. They want to get psychotherapy notes and medical notes without consent of the patient. We ethical doctors will not be complying. Come get me. And I've heard about this stuff before, going to hospitals and these kind of things. And today, it was Texas that was saying they're going to block any kind of medical workers. This was someone who's writing about that. This ban, this is referring to Governor Abbott in Texas, and I just want to put this all in context, right? So the USA wants to isolate themselves, build walls, shoot first, ask questions later. We want to deport children. We want to destroy boats, right? Destroy evidence, disappear witnesses. And then, who expects anyone to want to go to the World Cup what's in the USA? So this person's talking about the medical thing. This ban covers the MD Anderson Cancer Center, arguably the best cancer hospital in the world. They hire top-notch doctors, specialists, and researchers using H-1B visas every year. Bowing to the mob here means hurting cancer patients in Texas and across America. It's crazy, and that's referring to Greg Abbott saying, you know what, let's not have any workers from other countries. This is what's going on, and I'm sorry the news is the way that it is. I mean, I can't control what Trumpers and what they're doing, but what people can control is whether or not they want to come to the USA or do business with the USA, and that's why this person was saying in the beginning, are we seriously considering sending football teams from around the world with all the diversity of skin colors and cultures into a country that is an army of races actively targeting anyone who is not white or has an accent? And I think there's a lot of people who share this sentiment, like why bother go to Trump USA at this time? And I don't think it's crazy to say, hey, you can move the World Cup to Canada and Mexico. They'll be happy to have more business up there and be welcoming to people from all around the world. So that's my thoughts on this. I'd like to hear yours, and please stay safe out there. And I'll catch you on the next video.